Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson. Mathew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
It is time to talk technology with Mathew Dickerson this morning. G'day, Matthew.
G'day, Tony. How are you going today?
Oh, I'm pretty good. And the first topic we have is all about safe driving, because predicting teen crash risks with virtual tests, I think would be a really great idea, and there's been some development there, hasn't there?
There has been some work done over in Ohio, and it's the first time there's been some software set up, or hardware and software set up, to simulate some driving, to actually analyse the risk factors involved with some young people. So they set up a computer, it's got a driving wheel, brake pedal, accelerator, etc., just like you'd sit there and play a game essentially, but it's got some assessment software. It gives you a 15-minute simulated city drive. It's got pedestrians, it's got pedestrian crossings, it's got railroad crossings, and what it does is it looks at the people's eyes just to see where their eyes are looking, just to see how well they're looking around, and basically judging what they're doing as they're doing this drive. Now, they're obviously not going to have any accidents there. It's all simulated or a virtual test. But at the end of it all, it gives some sort of prediction on the rating for the person that's just done the test in terms of how likely they are to be involved in an accident. They've done so far about 17,000 young drivers just to see how they can do that and work with that. And then essentially, once you've got that answer, you can then work out how you can try and prevent that accident with some additional training. And I suppose that's the crucial thing here, Tony. It's all well and good to say you're a high-risk candidate for an accident. Well, what do you do about that? Well, make sure you've got either extra training or maybe extra hours you've got to do before you get your licence. At this stage, it's pretty much, in New South Wales anyway, a one-size-fits-all, 120 hours, then you're deemed to be right once you pass the test to be able to go out there and get on the open road. And I know what I did with my children is I took them through some driver training down in Sydney at the Sydney Motorsport Park. They were on a skid pan, they did emergency braking, emergency avoidance of various cones they had set up there. And I think that sort of thing is absolutely fantastic. But if you've got people that are identified as high risk, they might be the ones that you give some priority to go and do some of that sort of driver training. So we lose too many people on the roads. Getting the education starting when they first get their licences makes sense, because when you look in the US, for example, people aged 15 to 20 constitute 5% of all registered licensed drivers, and the number of fatal crashes in that same age group is almost 10%. So they're more likely to be represented in crashes.
Well, I wonder if they can sort out the rat bag drivers, Matthew.
Well, presumably the virtual test could do something to actually identify some of those, as you call them, rat bag drivers. But sometimes people aren't rat bags until they get behind the wheel of a real car.
Is that what you're found? Is it? Yes. Now, people our age, or my age anyway, not yours maybe, but we have lots of problems with snoring. If it's not yourself, it's can even be your wife or your wife complaining about it. And there's lots of solutions, so-called solutions out there, and there's some that work and some that definitely don't. And I think people are really looking for something that's simple, that does work. Now, at the CES 2024, the Ruchi, a Chinese company unveiled a first-of-its-kind smart anti-snoring pillow. I wonder if that really works.
Well, it'd want to work for the price of it, Tony. It's $1,000 to get you started. But for people that have got a snoring problem, or probably more importantly, people that have got a partner in their bed that's got a snoring problem, then $1,000 would probably be nothing to pay. One of the things that this AI pillow does is it listens out for the very start of a snore. So it's not listening out for the full-blown snore, the snore that sounds like a freight train, for example. It's listening out for that starting part of a snore, and then when it hears that, it actually adjusts the pillow to adjust the person's head position to actually move it around a little bit. And if it gets to the point where the snoring continues, it might actually do enough movement to slightly wake that person up, and that might be enough for them to just move around and get back into a position where they can then start sleeping again without having the snoring. For many people, one of the problems with snoring is they end up with bruising in their back because the person sleeping in bed with them starts kicking them or kneeing them in the middle of the back to wake them up.
That's your experience, I know. Yeah.
So this might be a little bit more subtle than that. And again, we talk about AI and where AI might be heading in terms of the future extinction of mankind possibly, but it's good to see an AI story that talks about it doing some good rather than being evil.
Yeah, I'll tell you what really does work, and that's a brick.
A brick?
A brick. My wife sleeps with a brick right next to a bed. So if I start snoring, I know the brick's there, so I don't snore.
As all good situations there, Tony, fear is a solution.
Well, bricks are cheap. Better than the $1,000 solution. Anyway, now John Deere are delving into partnering with SpaceX's satellite technology because, John Deere, all the farmers would know, use GPS technology through satellites to drive their vehicles around and land them exactly in the right spot so they don't go over areas they've already worked and things like that. So what's what's the development there, Matthew?
Well, one of the things that's great about John Deere and many other manufacturers as well is they've got some wonderful technology built in. And as you said correctly there, it might be self-driving tractors. They don't oversow, so you're not wasting seed. They don't leave gaps, so you're not wasting productivity. A whole range of things that they can do. They're better with fuel usage. So very efficient use of technology. One of the great things about some of this connectivity is that it gives you the ability to stay connected to your machinery. So you could see, for example, how someone's driving it. If someone's driving it on your behalf while you're doing some other work in the farm, you can keep an eye on how things are going. But all of this relies on connectivity. And of course, in the laboratory, when John Deere is doing all this testing, it all works fantastically. Get out in the real world, get out in some regional areas around Australia, for example, then you've got no connectivity, no mobile phone reception. So many of these wonderful features don't keep working. John Deere has said this is a problem that they need to solve, and one of the ways they've decided to solve the problem is to partner up with SpaceX so that you can get built into the tractor a connection to Starlink. Now, you'll pay a fee for this, and they haven't said exactly how much that fee will be at this stage, but I love the idea that all this technology can be fully utilised once you've got that internet connection. So you roll your tractor out, doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have satellite reception there, and then you can take advantage of that. And let's face it, in some of these areas there, Starlink doesn't work fantastically if you're in the middle of a city with large, tall buildings that are blocking signal, but out on the paddocks when these tractors are being used, obviously Starlink's going to work quite well. So I do like the idea, and it's good to see partnership between organisations that makes a lot of sense. A tractor company and an internet connection satellite company makes a lot of sense to me.
Sounds like a great idea, Matthew.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Anyway, we've been listening to Mathew Dickerson with Tech Talk on Binjang 91.5. See you next week, Matthew.
Thanks, Tony. Look forward to it.